Good morning. Here we are, Gentle Yoga Sunday morning. I'm Mickey. We have Christian on drums. Woohoo! Shout out. He's got a ceremony drum. For props here today in this gentle class, I like to use blocks if you have them, or something you could use as blocks. A blanket, a strap, maybe a pillow or bolster. I also have a chair. You could always use a chair. And then if you'd like to do any little bits of self massage, you might have a tennis ball. So we could use the tennis ball to massage our feet. And I really like it to massage my back. So I'm going to use the blocks to come down onto the ground. But you can also do this practice from a bed or anywhere else that would feel comfortable. And a chair would be fine too. I like to start out on my back. So I like to take the blanket, unfold it a little bit, and then lay it down and make a very small roll at one end. And this roll can go right underneath your heart space. So I'm going to put the blanket on the mat, move myself around so I'm on my seat, and then you can sort of lean yourself back so that your heart lands right on top of the blanket roll. Then find a place to settle in. If that feels too intense for your back, you could always just come flat on the mat. And then you might allow your arms to cactus out to the sides. If that feels too intense for the chest and the shoulders, another option would be to rest your elbows on the blanket roll and lay your hands on your belly. This could be a nice way to tune into your breath. You might plant your feet on the mat and allow your knees to sort of tent in towards each other so they can offer each other support. Or another option would be to bring these blocks and open the knees out wide, bringing the soles of the feet to touch. And then you could use the blocks to support underneath your knees. So many choices, so many different variations. Find your own unique expression, combination that feels right for you today. And then allow yourself this moment in time to just soften and arrive. Your practice for all of class could be allowing yourself to settle and meditate. So the movement part of yoga is totally optional. In fact, yoga is more than movement. In yoga, we have 8 limbs. We call it the 8-limb path. Some of those limbs are the yamas and the niyamas, which are part of yoga's ethical practices. And then there's the breath, which we call pranayama, movement, which we call asana or asana. Most of the time we think about yoga as movement, but when we're being mindful, present, focusing on our breath and meditating, we're still practicing yoga. Today, our theme for class is called Santosha. And this is the second niyama, one of yoga's ethical practices. We call it a jewel, and it means contentment. In the this country, wanting what we don't have has become a contagious plague. Rather than experiencing contentment, we can find ourselves busy getting ready for the next thing, tossed about by our preferences for what we like and what we don't like, and riding the waves of annoying disturbances. The jewel of Santosha invites us into contentment by taking refuge in a calm center, opening our hearts in gratitude for what we have, and practicing the paradox of not seeking. We let our contentment be managed by uncontrollable variables. As long as we think satisfaction comes from an external source, we can never be content. Looking outward for fulfillment will always disappoint us and keep contentment one step out of reach. So maybe during this class you want to think about how you might cultivate contentment, allowing yourself to stay in the present moment, or rather not thinking about staying in the present moment, but maybe thinking of returning to the present moment. Just noticing those disturbances that take us away from ourselves. So if you're ready to reawaken the body, and remember, all of the movement in this class is optional. It's all a choice. Remembering you have agency to create your own unique expression of this practice. Oh, and I forgot to mention the quote from the book was by Deborah Adele. I'd like to give her credit. Let's go ahead and spread the arms out wide to the sides. And if the blanket roll is feeling good, you can leave it there. On the next exhale, you can go ahead and lift your arms up towards the sky, and then we'll cross the right arm over the top of the left. Allow your hands to rest on your shoulders and give yourself a nice big hug. You might even take your top hand, maybe that's your right hand, and massage your left shoulder. Just give it a little rub. Or maybe it would feel good to rock the torso side to side, allowing the blanket to give the back a little massage. Maybe you even find that you can press your feet into the mat and allow the torso to travel up the length of the mat. Allow yourself to practice gratitude. Imagining little bubbles of gratitude overflowing from the heart center. Can you see them like colorful marbles? Then go ahead and come back to stillness. Open your arms out wide to the side. Spread the fingers. Reach from fingertip to fingertip. And then on your exhale, you can float your arms up towards the sky. This time we're going to cross the left arm over the top of the right. We have two sides that we can feel so grateful for. As your left hand touches your right shoulder, maybe you offer it a gentle massage, or allow the torso to rock from side to side. As you experience this little bit of back massage, can you imagine each little bubble of gratitude is someone special You can call to mind sending them a nice big hug. So many people that have supported you, cared about you. And then we'll inhale, sweep the arms open. And then go ahead and plant your feet on the mat if they're not already. If they're open wide to the sides, you can bring your hands down to your thighs, closing the knees up towards the sky. And then you can open your arms once more. We'll walk the feet out wide. So maybe your feet are off the mat. And then go ahead and allow the knees to float down to the left. So your right knee, your top knee, might be falling down towards your left foot. You might turn your gaze over to the right, experiencing a little stretch maybe on the left side of the neck. Take a nice deep breath here. Let it go. And then on your next inhale, sweep the knees back up to center, lift the gaze back up towards the sky. And then on your exhale, you can float your knees over to the right. Maybe turn your gaze over to the left. Allow yourself to soften here, practicing contentment by taking refuge in your calm center. On the next inhale, you can sweep the knees back up towards the sky, and then go ahead and follow the pace of your own breath. Maybe you move slowly, or maybe you speed it up. Just allow yourself to find the movement, windshield wipering from side to side. Allowing yourself to move at the pace of your own breath. Noticing how that breath is completely unique to you. Take one more nice deep breath on each side. And then when you feel ready, you can come back to center. We'll plant the feet on the mat, slide the hips over to the right, and then you can roll onto your left side so we can move the blanket out of the way. I'm just going to take the blanket, fold it up, toss it off to the side. Next, I'll bring my block with me and my ball, and then you can also bring a strap. So we'll have our little collection of goodies there. And then you can plant your feet on the mat if you like. Reach your arms out and then make sure your seat is about in the middle of your mat. Then you can hug your hands behind your thighs and roll onto your back, hugging your knees into your chest. Go ahead and give yourself a nice little hug, reaching your nose up towards your knees. And then exhale, gently release. And then we'll take the block close by, and we'll also take our strap. So from here, you're going to take the strap. Now, I actually got myself an extra, this is just a fun fact. I got myself an extra long strap so that I could loop the strap. This is just optional. But why I got this one extra long is I like to loop it all the way with the D-ring and then wrap it around behind my back. But if your strap isn't long enough, you could also use like a dish towel. You don't have to do this. This is just an option, okay? But I like to take the strap behind my back, and then you're going to take your strap and wrap it around the ball of your foot. Now, if it's not long and going around your back in a big loop, you can just hold on to either side of the strap. If you have it in a loop around your body, you can tighten the strap so this way you have less effort holding on. Is the reason why I like it like this. And you can also even relax your arms at your sides. So we're coming here into what's called Supta Padangusthasana. Bringing our hands up towards our foot. If you didn't have a strap, you could also hang on to the pant leg or interlace your hands maybe behind your thigh. And if you like to make this stretch a little deeper, you might glide your left foot long, maybe pointing your toes up towards the sky, finding just a little flex in the foot for activating the pose, keeping a soft bend to the knee. Take a moment to settle in here, softening your effort, softening your shoulders, softening through your jaw, allowing the breath to cascade down any places of sensation. So maybe the back of your leg, your hamstring. Maybe you feel sensation in your calf. Just bring your awareness and your attention there. And then you might imagine those bubbles of gratitude overflowing from your heart center. Gratitude for this amazing leg. You might take a moment to gaze lovingly up at your feet, or in this case, just your foot, I guess, the one foot. And send the foot gratitude. And then with your hands on your strap, you might bring both ends of your strap into your right hand, and you can start to allow the right leg to open out to the right. This is where it could be helpful to have a block or a pillow. If you felt like your leg was going too far, you could take a block to wedge underneath your leg. Or maybe right at your hip. Not really finding that to be useful, but could work. Allow yourself to soften here, relaxing the shoulders. Noticing where the sensation is in the body, and then allowing yourself to trace that area with your breath. We'll take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then with your next exhale, you can glide the foot back up to center, and maybe you start to cross the midline. So you're just taking your right leg and crossing it over towards the left, maybe bringing both ends of the strap now into the left hand. You could counterbalance with your right hand, extending it out to the right. And then just find your breath. Breathing into the areas of sensation in your body. Finding the balance of your effort with your ease. Where can you soften? 10%. Then we'll inhale, glide the foot back up to center. You can release your foot from the strap. Extend both of your legs long. Reach your arms overhead. Find a nice long body stretch. You might wiggle your fingers and your toes, gently rotating your wrists and your ankles. And then take a moment to pause here. Soften your effort and notice the differences between your left and your right leg. On your next exhale, glide the hands back towards the hips, and we'll try the other side. So I'm going to plant both feet on the mat, and then bring my strap to wrap around the ball of the left foot, extending the left foot long. From here, you can hold onto your strap with both of your hands. You might soften your effort so you're not having to grip so hard. Where can you soften? If you'd like to deepen the stretch, you might glide that right leg long on the mat if that feels good. If not, you can always leave it planted. So just finding what works for you. Allow your shoulders to relax. Relaxing the grip of your jaw. And finding those areas in the body with your breath. Maybe you feel a nice stretch of your hamstring. You can start to flex your toes a little bit towards your knee. And maybe you find a little bit deeper sensation through the back side of the leg. On the next exhale, go ahead and allow the left foot to start to open to the left, maybe bringing both ends of the strap into your left hand. You might counterbalance by extending your right arm out to the right. Allowing the breath to find the inseam of your left leg. And then on the next inhale, we'll bring the leg back up to center. And you can cross the midline, bringing both ends of the strap into the right hand now. Finding that outside edge of the left leg. Maybe down towards the hip, the IT band. And you might extend your left arm for a counterbalance. We'll stay here for one more nice deep breath. And with your next exhale, you can release back to center, release the foot from the strap. I'm going to move my strap out of the way. And then find a long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears, reaching both legs long. Might feel good to rotate the wrists and the ankles. And then on your next exhale, we'll go ahead and bring the hands back down towards the hips. Plant the feet on the mat. And we're going to get ready for a bridge. So we'll start out with a little tiny baby bridge. So on your inhale, feel your belly expand and allow your low back to lift up off of the mat. As you exhale, gather the resources at your core, drawing your belly button towards your spine. You can start to press your low back towards the mat, and then maybe your hips start to tilt up. So it's almost like your sit bones are pointing up towards your knees. Go ahead and inhale to lower that action, opening up to new opportunities, expanding on your inhale, and then exhale to gather your resources. Find that resolve, and maybe you start to grow the bridge. Maybe even planting the elbows next to your side ribs, planting them into the earth. Inhale to soften and release, lowering your spine back down, and then exhale, tilting up, finding that courage, that strength, that resolve in your bridge. And then inhaling to soften the spine back down. Go ahead and find a few more of your own version of bridge. You could even keep this very soft and gentle and keep your spine on the mat and just tilt the pelvis forward and back. After a few more rounds, you could take your block, and then as you lift up into bridge, you might slide the block underneath the sacrum, the very, very low back, and come into a supported bridge. If this felt too pinchy, you could also pad it with a blanket or maybe use a pillow instead. And we'll just come into a supported bridge. This is a wonderful, gentle inversion. And if you want to make it a little more inverted, you would have the option to extend both legs, maybe up towards the sky. And maybe here, you want to rotate the ankles and wiggle the toes. Take a moment to admire your beautiful feet, finding a few things that you love about your feet. Allowing those beautiful bubbles of gratitude to cascade all the way up to your toes or down to your feet if they're touching the mat. You could still admire your feet without looking at them. When you're ready, you can land both feet on the mat, press into your heels, lift your hips, slide the block out from underneath you, and then roll your spine back down one vertebrae at a time. From here, you can hug your knees in towards your chest. Start to allow your knees to come open to the sides to find happy baby pose. And you can either leave your hands behind your thighs, walk them up to your shins, calves, ankles, or feet. And start to draw your knees out to the side towards your armpits. Maybe you find a little rocking movement here, side to side. Coming into a squat, really, an upside down squat. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll release the feet onto the mat. And I wanted to give you an option. I don't know if we've done this yet in this class, to use the tennis ball, or really you could use any kind of ball. Racket ball would work well. At a studio I work at in Lentz, we use a squishy pinky ball. But I wanted to show you how I like to use this to give myself a little back massage. So what I'm going to do is take the ball into my left hand, roll onto my right side, and then place the ball in between my shoulder blade and spine. So I'm reaching around with my left hand, and then I like to roll onto the ball. And find that release right there at the back. So I like to press my feet into the mat, find a little rocking motion. If that's way too intense and that's not for you, don't force it. You're not trying to hurt yourself. Maybe you even soften it a little bit by rolling your knees to the right so you have less pressure on the ball. Or maybe this is just not the massage for you today. That's okay too. So take another nice deep breath if you're using the ball for a massage, and then we'll roll onto the side, reach back, remove the ball, and then you can roll back onto your back. From here, you might try the other side. So I'm going to bring the ball into my right hand, shift over to the left, place the ball in between my shoulder blade and spine, and then roll on top of it and just find that little bit of release. Right there in that area between the shoulder blade and the spine. Sometimes we can, well, at least I can, carry so much tension there. So take a nice deep breath. You can always stay here longer or try it out and take less time, whatever works for you. I love to use a tennis ball also when we're standing for a little bit of a foot massage. So take another nice deep breath, and then you can roll off of the ball. I'm just going to move my strap now and the ball off to the side. And however you'd like to come up to a seat, you can rock and roll up and down the length of your spine. I guess I'm already seated, so to make it easier to sit, I'm going to recommend a pillow. So you might even use something, this is a bolster. You could use a pillow or folded blanket. Sometimes you could even use both. And that might be a little bit too much. So find what would work to make it comfortable to sit for just a little bit. So we'll come to a seat. I'm just right here on the bolster. And then you might have some blocks close by. And if it was uncomfortable to sit on the floor, remember you could always use a chair as well. I'm just going to do a little bit for the upper back and the neck. So once you find your comfortable seat, take a moment to find stillness. Send your awareness down into your heart center. And feel the little bubbles of gratitude overflowing from the heart. As you do this, on your exhale, you can begin to bow your head down towards your heart, finding length through the back of your neck. And then on your next inhale, allow your right ear to float towards your right shoulder, finding a stretch along the left side of the neck. You don't want to crank it or go too far, so just find until you have sensation, remembering that each of these shapes is infinite. On your next exhale, you can bow your head towards your heart, and then inhale, sweep the left ear towards the left shoulder. Exhale, bowing towards the heart once more. Inhaling the right ear towards the right shoulder. And then exhaling, bowing towards the heart. Inhaling the left ear towards the left shoulder. Now we're going to go one more time on each side, and we're going to hold on each side. So exhale, bow your head towards your heart. Inhale your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then if you'd like, you can invite a little bit of movement, so we can lift the gaze and then lower the gaze. Maybe just a gentle shaking of the head no. This is a good opportunity to allow yourself to gracefully, gently say no, protecting your time, your energy. And then once your chin comes towards your shoulder, we'll stay here and then gently begin to nod the head yes. And this could be a good opportunity to practice saying yes, inviting in new opportunities, thinking about something you'd like to say yes to. The next time your chin comes towards your shoulder, you can allow your head to once more bow towards your heart. And then we'll gently bring the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Start with our gentle no. soft and graceful. With stillness and poise. Yes, that's how we say no. And then we can bring the chin towards the shoulder and start to give ourselves the opportunity to practice saying yes, nodding the head yes. Take one more nice deep breath. And the next time the chin comes towards the shoulder, we'll bow the head towards the heart. And you can pause here for a moment. And then we'll inhale the head back up to center. Hopefully that ends up feeling good. On your inhale, you can roll the shoulders gently up towards the ears and then round them down towards, gliding along the back. So just taking some nice gentle shoulder rolls. When you're ready, we can reverse the direction of the shoulder rolls, bringing them up towards the ears and down around in front. Releasing any tension with the breath. Now, if you're comfortable seated, we'll come back to stillness. You can either stay seated here, or you could come to hands and knees. So if you're wanting to do your cat and cow from a seat, you can rest your hands on your knees. Press into your knees as you inhale to lift the heart, and then exhale, round into your spine. So this would be your seated cat-cow. If you want to do this from hands and knees, you can move from your seat into all fours. Maybe it would be helpful here to pad underneath the knees with a blanket. This is what I often do. So I'll pad underneath the knees. And then even sometimes I don't want to be on my wrists, and I will come onto blocks with my forearms, or you can even bring your forearms to the earth. Today I'm going to start out on hands and knees. So you can inhale to drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale to round into the spine for cat. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. Either from a seated position or from hands and knees. And as you articulate your spine, send your bubbles of gratitude to your intricate spine. After a few rounds, you might find some other movements here. Really allowing yourself to marvel at the design of your intricate spine. Allow the breath to find space in between the vertebrae, in between the ribs. If you've taken some movement in one direction, allow yourself a moment to pause and then find the other direction. So if you're drawing a big circle with the belly button, you might find the circle in the opposite direction, maybe tracing the inside of a hula hoop. Maybe take a moment to wag the tail side to side. Allowing your breath to find the side body. And then from here, we'll come back to a neutral spine and get ready for a child's pose. So you could bring the big toes to touch, open the knees out wide, sink the hips back, and then walk the hands out in front. If you find it's too hard for your forehead to reach the mat, you could stack your palms to make a little pillow to rest your forehead. Or you might like to take a bolster. I have the big round one, but today I'll just use this flatter one. You could take a pillow or a bolster, and you could allow your torso to come to rest on the prop, maybe bringing one cheek down, and you'll end up wanting to switch sides about halfway through. Allow yourself to settle and sink. Feel the rise and fall of your back body. Feel safe and held and supported. Allowing for the weight of gravity. And while you're in this childlike shape, imagine yourself as a young child. If you have the bolster underneath you, you can press up to tabletop, removing the bolster, and then we'll sink back into child's pose. We're going to take a side bend. So you could start to walk your hands. Well, we'll all push up to tabletop. You can keep your legs kind of in your child's pose, and then you can walk your hands over to the left, reaching your right arm long. You could even make a little pillow with your left forearm. So you could bring your left forearm down to the ground, maybe, and then you could rest your forehead right on your forearm, reaching your right arm kind of at a diagonal. And you don't have to go this extreme. You could come back to center and you just reach a little bit to the left. Resting your head on your forearm, it might feel good to sort of rock your head from side to side. Allowing your forehead to sort of massage your forearm. Take another nice deep breath here, and then we'll come back to center into our tabletop with our wide knees. We're going to try the other side, so you can start to walk your left hand a little bit over to the right. Bring your right forearm down. Lower your forehead down to your forearm. And see if you can take your breath from your left fingertips along your left side body all the way down to your hip. Take one more nice deep breath on that side, and then we'll come back up into our tabletop. We are going to be coming down onto our bellies next, so you might decide you don't want the blanket anymore underneath you. come straight down to your belly if you'd like. I kind of like to play around a little bit with plank. So if you would like to, you could come down onto your forearms or you could stay on your palms. For plank, you could walk your knees back and then you could stay right here. You're in a plank on your knees. Or you might tuck your toes under and lift one knee at a time or both knees at the same time. And I like to do this on my forearms so that I can kind of give my wrists a little break. So you might be on your forearms and on your knees. And then you could always lower your belly whenever you're ready for a rest. Allow your belly to really cozy up with the earth. That's kind of a weird thing to say. You could stretch your legs back, maybe lift your legs, peel them up, and then untuck your toes, plant the tops of the feet on the mat, and we'll stack the elbows right underneath the shoulders. And this is called Sphinx pose. You can press your palms into the earth, lift the heart, and then start to energetically drag the hands back as you lift the heart. It might feel good to soften your shoulders up towards your ears and then glide your shoulder blades down the back. A little shoulder massage. And then when you're ready, we'll stack the palms, bring the elbows out to the sides. Allow your forehead to come and rest on the back of your forehead, or your forehead on the back of your palms. This one is called Makrasana, crocodile pose. It might feel nice to bend the knees, allowing the heels to gently sway from side to side. Maybe a little massage for the belly, the thighs. Allow your feet to find the earth once more. And then we'll lift the head and drag the hands back so they're right underneath the shoulders. On your inhale, roll your shoulders up and back and lift the heart for a baby cobra. On your exhale, lower your right ear down towards the mat, turning your gaze to the left. Allow your temple to rest here for a moment, softening your effort. And then on your next exhale, we'll lift up for baby cobra, lifting the heart, keeping the gaze. You can keep the gaze low. You don't want to crink the neck, so keep some length through the back of the neck. Puffing up through the chest, floating the heart. Feel light and buoyant. On your next exhale, you can turn your gaze to the right. Soften your left temple and ear down towards the mat. As you rest your temple there on the mat, send the breath down the side of the neck. Relaxing all of your effort. From here, we're going to do a little chest opener. So if you have any props that are like beside you, you can just move them up out of the way. You can bring your left hand underneath your shoulder, and then we'll stretch the right hand directly behind you. Start to roll onto your right side so maybe I should do it on the other side. So you're creeping the fingertips behind you as you roll onto your side. kind of feeling an opening through the chest, through the shoulders. Maybe if it's too intense, you don't have to go very far. You don't have to go all the way onto your side. And if your head wants to rest on the ground, that's great. If you need a little support under the head, you could take a pillow, blanket, or I like this block right here. Feels like at the right height for my temple. A little lift. So allow the legs to stack if that feels comfortable. Just breathing into the chest, the shoulder. Take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then when you're ready, we'll roll back onto the belly. And we're so lucky because we get to try both sides. So allow gratitude for your symmetry and your asymmetry. So this time I'm going to plant the left palm on the mat. You can't see it. It's a little off camera. My right hand underneath my shoulder and then roll onto the side. You can bring that block underneath the head if that feels good. Take one more nice deep breath here. On your next exhale, you can roll back onto the belly. We'll plant the palms underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes under, and you can press up to your hands and knees. Now from here, I'm going to grab blocks. We're going to get ready for a lunge. And you could do a lunge from standing if you prefer not to be on your knees. So either way, I'm going to take the blocks underneath my hands on the high setting and then step the left foot forward for a lunge. And you can use the blocks if you like to frame your foot. You could pad underneath the back knee, or you could tuck the back toes under and lift the back knee. So this might feel like the better kind of lunge. It's going to require a bit more strength and balance to stay upright. You could always keep your hands on the ground or on blocks here. If you're wanting a little bit more support, you might pad underneath the knee and lower the knee. I'm going to do that just because it'll be easier for me today to demonstrate. And then from here, we can grow this a little bit upright. So you could bring your hand up onto your thigh. You could bring your hands to your hips. Or you could bring your hands to your heart. Or you could float your arms up towards the sky, a little bit of a back bend. And it does require a bit of concentration, focus, balance. See if you can breathe into any sort of discomfort. Then on the next exhale, we'll bring our hands to our heart. And you can start to turn towards your front knee. You could even bring your hands to your thigh. And then you're just allowing a little bit of rotation of the chest. A little bit of a twist. Maybe turning the gaze behind you, but that also requires some effort, some balance. When you're ready, you can release your twist. Bring your hands back to the ground or to blocks. And we'll just find a little bit of movement for the hips. Gliding the hips forward into your lunge and back. And you might even leave the toes on the ground to stretch the top of the foot, or you could peel the toes up towards the nose. You could play around with that as well. Just a little bit of movement back and forth. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the block to the inseam of the foot. You can heel toe the foot back to your tabletop. You might take a pause or a rest in child's pose, or I kind of like sitting on my heels. It feels good, but I can't imagine that you don't have to stay here if this doesn't feel good. Another option would be downward dog for a rest. So just allow yourself a moment to recalibrate, find a little rest. And then we'll get ready for the other side. So I'm going to walk my blocks from tabletop over to the left. Step the right foot forward just to find a nice lunge. You could stay here, or if you'd like to be off of the knee, you could tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and you could stay in a lunge. You could stay right here in a lunge, or even move it forward and back like we were doing on the ground on the other side. If you want to bring it upright, you could land your knee. I have a lot of carpeting, so that's why I'm not using a blanket, but I suggest padding for the knee. You might bring your hands up to your front thigh or to your hips, your heart center, or maybe grow your arms, lift your heart. Little tiny back bend, looking up. Melt the shoulders away from the ears. And on your exhale, you can bring your hands to your heart. And you might start to rotate towards that front knee for a little twist. You could bring your hands down to your thigh. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, just finding a little bit of rotation. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll release the twist. You can allow your hands to find blocks. And then maybe you just take that little bit of moving the hips back and forth, maybe lengthening the front leg. You could keep the foot on the mat, stretching through the top of the foot, or maybe peel the toes away. Just whatever feels good. Take one more nice deep breath. And then we'll move the block to the inseam. Heel toe the foot around so that it can come back into your tabletop position. And then from here, let's go ahead and walk the knees forward so that you can come onto your seat. I feel like that's enough on the knees. As you walk it forward, you can plant your feet on the mat. And you can kind of give your little knees a massage. I kind of realize that's kind of a lot on the knees, isn't it? So let's go ahead and bring the feet forward. And so you can start to bring your hands behind your thighs and then lean back for your boat pose, Navasana. You might pick up a leg or both legs, or maybe land the feet, reach the arms out. Play around with your boat, whatever version is going to feel good to you. Then when you're ready, you can hug the knees into the chest, roll onto the back, give yourself a nice big hug. And then from here, you're going to find something that you can put your foot up on, that you can put your feet up on. So maybe it's a chair. I'm going to use the chair to demonstrate. Or it could be a wall. And then we're going to use this for our hip stretch, figure 4. So you can bring your seat up to whatever object you're using for support. And you can bring your feet, your legs long. And then you're going to bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh. That's the figure 4 part. And then you can draw the left leg in towards the body. What's nice about using a chair or a wall is you can really allow your whole upper body to soften and relax. Getting a nice stretch through your hip. You could even flex your foot and allow that right knee to push away from you, either energetically or with your right hand. While your left hand is here, maybe it gives your right foot a little massage. Could feel nice. Or you could just relax your arms at your sides. Traditionally, you'll see people do this pose and then they'll weave their arms behind their left thigh. But I find that to be too strenuous. Ugh. So I really like the support of the chair or a wall. Or you could even do this where your foot is pushing up against the couch. Send some nice deep breaths into your hip. Maybe you can allow the hip to receive those bubbles of gratitude circling around the hip joint. And if you'd like to turn this into a twist, you can always stay here. Or if you want to turn this into a twist, you can allow the whole shape to fall over to the left so that your right foot lands. And then you could extend your right arm, maybe even bring your left hand down to your right foot. And that would be a good way to offer the ankle a massage right there, where your ankle and the top of your foot meet. You could turn this into a traditional twist instead by stacking the knees instead of keeping that figure 4 shape. Allowing your arms to come out into a letter T and turning the gaze over to the right. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll get ready for the other side. So you can unwind your twist, plant your feet on the mat, realign your spine, and then maybe you bring your feet up to a supportive chair or even leaning them against the wall. And then this time we'll cross the left ankle over the right thigh. You can drag the right foot down the wall or bring it in towards the body. If you want to interlace your hands behind your right thigh and hold on, it's totally also an option. Maybe there's some benefit there. And you could even flex your right or your left foot and your right foot to get a more active stretch. Possibly even using your left hand to press your thigh away. All of these things are options. can stay here as long as you'd like, unless you're wanting to turn this into a twist. So in that case, you could allow the whole shape to fall over to the right. Maybe reaching with your right hand for your left ankle. Another chance to give a little massage. Maybe extending your left arm out to the left. You could peek over to the left. If you prefer a traditional twist, you could always release your foot, extend your arms out into a T, and stack the legs. As we're approaching the end of class, it's your choice to find any other poses that you feel would help complete your practice. You're welcome to find corpse pose, Shavasana, by allowing your body to lay flat on the mat, maybe even tucking a support underneath your knees, like a rolled blanket or a pillow. You could even close out some light by draping some fabric or a small pillow over the eyes. As you begin to settle in for your final rest, I'll offer a few more words from the book The Yamas and Niyamas by Deborah Adele on the topic of santosha, contentment. And then I'll allow you to sink into your quiet rest. We think we are free, but in truth, we spend huge amounts of energy maneuvering ourselves and manipulating others so that our days are filled with what we like and avoid what we don't like. You might notice this maneuvering as a physical feeling of gripping in the body. In truth, the yogis tell us things are neutral. It is the personal labeling we put on these things that makes them appealing or repulsive to us. Our seeking and avoiding becomes expensive uses of our energy. True freedom and contentment begin to find their way to us when we can see things as they are. I am reminded of the wisdom of a 116-year-old man who, when asked the secret to his longevity, replied, "When it rains, I let it." our Zoom class is that you can stay in this resting position for as long as you'd like. Allow yourself time to linger. If you feel ready to reawaken the body, you're welcome to invite some gentle movement into your fingers, wiggling your toes, gently rotating your wrists and your ankles. Allow yourself to find a long body stretch from your fingertips to the toes. And then allow yourself to roll onto one side, coming into a fetal position. You can press yourself up into a seat. And once you find a comfortable seat, you might invite your hands to gently meet at the heart center. An invitation to join in or listen in. We'll end our practice together chanting Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, which means peace, peace, peace. Enough for ourselves, each other, and the rest of the world. Go ahead and exhale all of your breath out. You can take a nice deep breath for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and privilege to guide you through your practice. And I'll turn off the recording in case anyone has a question. Thanks to our musician friend.